social conflict. Let's talk about it. The 1920s were a period of tension between new, changing attitudes and traditional views. They're coined the Roaring Twenties for all the excitement, vibrance, and transformation taking place.
But not everyone agreed with this forward thinking. Due to this, there was a lot of controversy over immigration policies, African Americans, evolution, and prohibition.
Nativism, or the favoring of native-born Americans over immigrants, became very prevalent during this time.
This American attitude was based on the belief that immigrants were eroding traditional American values. Due to this, many wanted to achieve 100% Americanism.
An example of nativism was the passage of the 1921 Immigration Act, which ended open immigration and set quotas.
Then, in 1924, the U.S. passed the National Origins Act, which further reduced immigration to only 150,000 per year and completely banned Asians.
In much simpler terms, Sacco and Vanzetti, two Italian immigrants and known anarchists, were found guilty of murder even though there was virtually no evidence to support that.
Although there is little evidence, you are found guilty due to your political beliefs and ethnicity. I sentence you to death.
This illustrated the extent of nativism in this time period. One group of people faced opposition during and prior to the 1920s.
That's right, African Americans were often victims of lynching in 1919.
Lynching was usually done by a mob of people where they would basically hunt down a black man just because of his race and hang him in public.
These methods also involved torturing the victims. I heard about one black man who was slowly burned to death in the middle of the mob, but he wouldn't let it break his spirit.
Most of these evil, torturous deaths occurred in the South from April to November of 1919. This was called the Red Summer and also included race riots.
Throughout the 20s, African Americans continued to struggle. In 1923, a rumor was spread that a white woman was raped by a black male. Then a group of white men got together to capture the black male they thought to have committed the crime.
They chased down the man named Jesse Hunter in an event called the Rosewood Incident. It showed the lengths that white people were willing to go against African Americans based on racism.
All of this discrimination kind of brought together African Americans and incited a feeling of pride. This is known as the Harlem Renaissance. Hey, you know what'd be fun?
What?
Talking about fundamentalists in the 20s?
What about them?
Well, fundamentalists believe every word in the Bible to be literal truth.
I bet they clashed a lot with modernists, those who believed in an emphasis in science.
That they did. When modernists began to challenge traditional notions about religion, fundamentalists were not happy. The two groups often fought over things such as evolution, things that science and religion did not agree on.
That's right. This battle between the religious point of view and the new scientific point of view caused an incident known as Scopes monkey trial.
In the 20s, due to the Butler laws, it was illegal to teach evolution in schools. John Scopes went to a nationwide trial in an attempt to get these changed.
Scopes was of course found guilty of teaching evolution because he was.
We evolved.
But the trial did give modernists a chance to challenge the age-old Butler law.
And it worked. Within 2 years, the teaching of evolution was made legal in over 22 states.
Once again, traditional and changing attitudes clashed in the 20s and caused more social conflict.
Wet.
Dry.
Wet.
In 1920, the nation was divided between dries
Those who supported prohibition,
and wets.
those who opposed prohibition.
The Women's Christian Temperance Union felt that alcohol was sinful, and then it turned their husbands into horrible people. To combat this, they pushed prohibition throughout the United States, and then, with the passage of the 18th Amendment, their ideas and goals were recognized on a federal level. Problem solved, right?
Well, actually, these new restrictions caused an abundance of Zazzle folk.
I bet those Women's Christian Temperance Union members felt like dumb Doras.
Because more people drank than ever before, there was increased crime and an increase in the number of alcohol-related deaths.
A lot of that organized crime was tied to illegal drinking in speakeasies.
Speakeasies?
It's over here. Look at all these people drinking illegally. It's so diverse, right? Speakeasies where all different people came together to drink illegally.
It's so underground.
dancing! Whoa.
That was a lot of people drinking illegally in speakeasies.
I know, right?
Didn't they realize the 18th Amendment did more harm than good?
That they did. That's why 14 years later they passed the 21st Amendment, which repealed prohibition and made drinking legal again.
That makes sense. Yeah, the battle between wets versus dries reflects the battle between old views versus the new views during the 1920s.
That's right.
And that concludes the final episode of C&M.
Hope you weren't a dewdropper and you learned something in college.
That's all we have for today. See you next time.
Cute.
It's a project.
Our
for
documentary.
history.
I'm doing great.
Thank you.
In much simpler terms.
Yes!
Woo! Got it.
But not everyone agreed with.
Nice.
Oh, yeah. Boom! Sacco and Vanzetti, two
guys.
Yep.
That's what they were.
Action.
we were at the same time.
Speakeasies were where people.
Yep, Bluebird, yep.
Once again, the changing attitude of the 20s.
Scopes was, of course, as it is, found guilty. Teaching evolution because he was. Have you ever seen stars?
What?
Never mind.
Is that fine?
No. It's me asking if you've ever seen stars. Have you ever seen stars?
Yeah. You just said it so professionally.
Have you ever seen stars?
May I ask you, kind sir, have you ever seen stars?
Why, sir, I have.
At this very moment. Passes out.
Falls over.
That they did. When modernists began to tradition.
Are you gonna do it?
Yes. You've been replaced.
Perfect. All right.
How funny, that'll be funny. And then cut back to you.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
Hey, where's the line?
Right there.
Oh, that's a lot. That they did. When traditionalists began to challenge modernist something. When modernists began to challenge modernist notions about religion.
Traditional views about religion, fundamentalists.
Hey.
Turn that off. No cameras. But do we want to cut it? Keep it rolling. Hey, you know what would be fun? You
Let's
have
just say
a lot.
what?
No, I don't.
Action.
That they did.
1, 2, 3.
The roaring 20s, man.
Collide, sparks fly. When you look in my eyes, it takes my breath away. You are the thunder. And I love the way you know who you are. I don't know the next words. It's to me, it's society. Oh, I thought she said something about society.
There's conflict in society. Ow.
That's perfect.
Okay.
Sweet.
All right, cool. We did it. That was like kind of not good, but it's the best.
But it's, yep, it's perfect.